Hi, this is Niece Matthew. Hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. So, we have quite a few things happening this week. We're going to be having a new moon that's going to be happening later in the week. And based on the transits, I think that we're having sort of two different themes based on the beginning of the week. And then when we're getting close to the end of the week, we have a brand new theme. So, it's kind of split into two, and we'll talk about those themes. I will talk about the new moon a little bit later, but the themes that we will be looking at are really intuition and instinct, you could say. And basically, they're from the gates 48 and also the gate 57. We do have quite a few planets transiting those areas. Like I said, the beginning of the week, we're starting off with the gate 48. That is one of the splenic gates. And we are going through all the different splenic gates, and Mars is as well. Venus went through them earlier, a couple of weeks earlier. So we've already had Venus go through them. And so now we're getting the sun and Mercury, and also Mars going through all these splenic gates. So it's kind of putting an emphasis on the energies. Last year we had the splenic gates being sort of highlighted, not as highlighted as it is this year. And last year it was the 44, the 28, and also the gate 50, and that was a Mercury retrograde. It was sort of the middle of October. So we have had this energy happen before, but now it's a little bit more highlighted, you could say, because of all the energy sort of moving through. So let's talk about what the themes are this week and how they are going to potentially show up in the world and potentially impact us. So we have the gate 48, and the sun is going to be transiting in the gate 48. And we also have the earth transiting the gate 21. The interesting thing about the earth is that it will be connecting with Chiron. Now, we know that Chiron is a wounded healer. Now, most times we say it's mostly important only for people who are sixth line energies, because that's when you have your Chiron return and you would, actually get off the roof, or you would sort of walk into your role model status, you could say. Having said that, Chiron is in everyone's chart, and it is an expression in everyone's chart, and we all have a wound, you could say. Chiron is the wound that we can't actually heal, but every time we help other people with that particular wound, it is said to improve how it activates in our life, and basically sort of it kind of heals us to a degree. But Chiron was the healer that could never be fully healed itself. So that's kind of the energy that we're working with. So when we have it in the gate 21, it talks about the energy of control, and this is tribal energy, and we do know that it comes off the will center. So it's going to talk to abundance, money. It could be talking about resources of any kinds, how we make our money, how we control our money, how we feel controlled. But there is this other perspective of feeling potentially powerless, and I go again, I'm talking about the wounded aspect of this because that's where Chiron is right now. And we're talking about potentially feeling powerless, or potentially wanting to control everything in our world because we are scared that if we don't, something might happen that will, kind of shake up the apple cart, you could say. The thing about Chiron is that, like I said, the more we start to help other people with that energy, the better we start to feel with those particular themes. And we all have our own specific themes. But as a global theme right now, we have the gate 21. When the earth is going to be connecting with it, we're going to be grounding potentially into the energy of this wounding of Chiron. And what is Chiron telling us? We're talking about, like I said, power issues, feeling controlled by other people, wanting to control other people. And so this is a time where we can say, we need to take back our power if we feel it as though it's been taken from us. Not everybody lives in a world, you could say, where they have the autonomy, they have the ability to have control of who they are and control of their life. Not everybody has that ability. But if you do, and you've actually given it to somebody else, or you've allowed other people to take your power, then this is a time to kind of look at it and say, okay, maybe this is the moment that I need to ground into this idea of control and decide what I want in my life. Do I want to be controlled by others? Will I allow other people hold the reins of my life? Or do I want to move forward in my own abilities? And maybe it won't be a perfect path, and maybe it won't be as easy, but it'll be my path. Because sometimes we give control to other people because it's easier in some ways, because we feel like, well, if they have the control, then I'm not responsible to have to worry about this, that, and the other thing. And the question you might ask yourself, is it worth the bargain? Is it worth the trade-off? And if it isn't, then that is when you can sort of shift things and decide that I want to take the power back. I want to have that control of my life, and so forth. The other perspective is that we may want to control people and the world around us. And when we look at control as a theme, we can think of it as, do I want to be controlled? And if the answer is no, if we don't want to be controlled by others, how is it that we can control other people? So in other words, it's a two-way street. It's an energy that is give and take. So if I don't want somebody to control me in my life, how can I potentially control other people and decide what they're going to do and what they're not going to do? So those are the types of themes that we'll be looking at and grounding into with the earth, connecting with Chiron. There could be some healing to look at, and maybe it's about money. Maybe you don't feel like you have enough control of the money that you make. Maybe you feel like you don't make enough money. Maybe you want to take more sort of an active role in how you manage your money, because maybe that's something that you've given to other people. Those types of things. There's a multitude of ways it can show up. But having said that, there is this level of something needing to be kind of made peace with, about how we are controlled or controlling, or we are kind of holding the reins of our life or other people's lives. Then we go back to the sun, and the sun is in opposition always to the earth. The positions are kind of playing off each other, you could say. The sun is talking to this idea of how much information do I need? How much do I need to be part of an active life? And this is a fear, like this is a fear from the spleen. And I think that if we call it exactly what it is, that's probably the best thing, because when we do talk about this concept of this anxiety or this fear of not knowing enough, not being enough, not having enough, not being able to step into your light, to actually show the world what you have to offer, because you're scared that maybe you're just not prepared enough yet. This is the energy of the sun. And if you combine it with the energy of the gate 21, we are talking about controlling if we go out into the world, controlling how much information we have, controlling like kind of how we present ourselves to the world. And which is perfectly fine, because that's part of, having an autonomy of who you are. But on the other hand, are you holding back so much? Are you pulling on the reins so hard that you actually have no ability to actually step into your light? Because the gate 48 is half of the channel, the 1648, which is all about talent. And when we talk about the 1648, this is a talent that is logical. It's a mastery. It is something that we are doing over and over and over again. This is a concert pianist who plays how many hours every day so that they can come to a level of mastery. This is not something that comes overnight. This is not experiential energy. And it is something that is projected. In other words, it has to be called out of us. So this is an energy that can come together nicely with the gate 16, and that it can give the voice for the depth, because this is about depth. How much information? This is a collection of information, a collection of knowledge that you become an expert at. And the more you collect, the better you get. So I think that we can gather the depth, and we can kind of have those things, those themes that can, that matter to us. And everybody's depth, everybody's talent is related to their own body graph and who they are as an individual. It's not, no two are the same. So whatever you feel inclined to do, or wherever you feel drawn, is where your talent can be. But you can collect and collect and collect. And it is called the well for a reason, that you go in the well and you don't want to come out. You're in there and you're just kind of absorbing more and more water, you could say. The rain is coming in and the well is filling up. And yet you feel like, I need more, I need more, I need more. But eventually you have to go out into the world and show the world what you have to offer. And it's easy to get lost in this, well, maybe one more course or one more thing will take me to the next level, and I'll feel like it's ready to go, and I can actually be there. But what can happen is you can hold yourself back. You cannot apply to a job because you don't think that you're well qualified enough for it, and a million other ways that it can sort of hold you back in life. But when you see that maybe I have anxiety, maybe I'm scared, but the reality is that when I step out, everything will flow out of me. It's like it is like a fountain. It's like, as soon as you have this anxiety about not being able to express the depth of what you know and the things that you've actually been working on, the mastery that you have. And then it's almost like, as soon as you get out into the world and you start talking, and when you do have that ability to kind of express it, it just kind of comes out like a fountain. And suddenly you're expressing all the things that you didn't know you actually even knew, because a lot of times it's just down there kind of kind of in the well and you don't know exactly what's there until it starts to come out. And it is a beautiful thing that can happen. So to keep in mind that this week we can be looking at, do I have enough? Do I feel like I'm ready? And am I holding myself back? Because I always think that there's going to be a perfect time when I can actually express myself and show myself to the world, show everybody what I have to offer. Because the thing about the talent of logic is it is something that is over time, and it's something that builds up a long time, and it's not something that actually just comes overnight. So that's why it is so valuable for it to be shared with the collective, because ultimately anything that is collective energy, logical or abstract, is about sharing. And this is about sharing what you have mastered, or that depth, so that in some way humanity can be improved because of what you have to offer. And we're only adding to the emphasis of the gate 48 because we do have Mars there until sort of the end of the week. So we do have that theme. The other theme that we're going to be working with is Mercury is finally going to be moving out of the gate 32, and it's going to be moving into the gate 57. So we have a brand new theme, which includes the gate 57 as we get closer to Friday. But before Friday comes, we have two things that are going to be happening. One is going to be the new moon, and the other is going to be that Venus is going to be activating a full channel between Uranus and Venus. And it'll bring us the complete 14-2 channel, which is it's a tantric channel, which means that it increases the energy. So we think about the tantric channel of any kind is an energy that is kind of up levels the energy in some way. It's taking it, could say, a lower form and elevating it, but it also gives us direction, the 14-2. It is also a lucky channel, and it can be bringing us, a windfall of energy or luck, good things that might happen. This is where the magnetic monopole is connected to in the gate 2, because that's where Uranus has been transiting for a while. But what this does is it has a potential to sort of activate Uranus again, to kind of give us that added emphasis to actually look at where we're going, our direction in life. Are we sort of on our magnetic monopole, you could say? Are we hooked on to that line that shows us where we're meant to be going in this world? And the magnetic monopole is it's our direction in life. It's a place that actually shows us where we're meant to go, our life path, you could say. So what this is doing is potentially giving us that direction for where we want to go. And kind of with Venus there, it's showing us where we want to go in relationships, potentially where we want to go with anything kind of related to things that are in the from the feminine perspective. And it doesn't have to be female, but just like that feminine yin energy, you could say, finding a place where we want to kind of settle into having nice things in our life. And maybe that will be the windfall that we might potentially see. Maybe some good things will happen in that sort of yin energy of abundance, or something lucky, and maybe some good occurrences with relationships. But ultimately, this is basically a nice energy. If you have the gate 2 hanging, basically the gate 2, you could say, is like the pedal for the car, but the 14 is the fuel. So this could actually give you some energy to actually start moving forward in the direction that you want to go. This is a place where we can find talent. Like, you have an ability to recognize talent in other people and to actually allocate the talent where it needs to be, and distributing the resources that you have and putting them in the places that are best suited for you, so that you can have a more streamlined life. So that's what we could see. So that's from now until October 7th that energy will be activated. So it's kind of a nice energy. It'll be interesting to see what it brings for us all, because we all will be energized by that in some way. And the new moon on October 6th really does play into the same concepts of the ideas that we were talking about with the gate 48. When we get to the line 5 of any energy, we know that it's universalization, or the way the rest of the world actually sees the energy of the gate. And with this one, it really does talk about this idea of really wanting to be hidden away, to get a little bit more, to kind of hang on to the concept that you need that one more lesson, or you need a little bit more information before you can actually move out into the world, into the collective. It does play off this idea that we do have this anxiety about showing the world what we can do, showing the world our talent, actually stepping out. Like, what if you wanted to start a new YouTube channel and show people what you have, and you can be nervous, and maybe you won't do it because it's too scary. And then the other perspective is we have the gate 21, which is in opposition. That's where the earth is, 21 line 5. Now, this is the concept that we are in an environment that is unbiased. So in other words, we go out and we show the world what we have. And yet it is based on our talent. It isn't based on who we are. It isn't based on what we look like. It isn't based on what our background is, where we grew up, the people that we know, and those types of things. So we are looked at or perceived or appreciated from a perspective of being just a person. So you could look at it as if there's a show, The Masked Singer, and I think there's a masked dancer as well. Even The Voice, any of those kind of shows really do talk to this idea of not having a visual, or not really knowing somebody or seeing somebody or anything like that. You're basically listening, or you're hearing or watching their talent, and you're looking at their talent, not who they are. So this is the potential to be showing the world what you have to give in an unbiased way, and so that you don't have to know people, you don't have to kind of have the right people in your circle to actually be accepted for what you can do. And so that's a nice part. So there is that anxiety, there is that fear that you're scared to step out into the light, but there is that also the potential offer that if you do actually decide to step out into the light and to show people what you have to give, then there is also this potential that you actually can be looked at in a very unbiased way, and just be really looked at for your talent, what you have to give, as opposed to who you are. The other perspective is we do have Mercury moving into the gate 57, and it because it's going retrograde, it's going into the 57-6. It is in the moment intuition. It comes in a quick pulse, and it kind of tells you what it needs to tell you. This is something that can be overridden by a lot of other things in our life, emotional wave and all those types of things. So it's one of those types of things that when we have these like little intuitive hits that says don't do this or stop, or this is going to happen, so you better watch out, or these kind of intuitive hits about something that potentially might happen, and maybe we don't actually act on it, or we kind of ignored it, or something like that. Having those introspective moments where you look back on these types of things when you have these kind of hits, maybe you did act on it, or maybe you didn't act on it, what actually happened. So that's a good way to get in touch with your intuition. And when you are, then you will be more in tune with that kind of splenic awareness that can come, especially this week, because we do have the gate 57 activated by Mercury, as well as Mars, and later in the week, like I said, it's going to be the sun. So we do have that real connection with this intuitive hit. What's happening when it's in the 57-6 is this kind of perspective of, I've already had this time where I was experimenting with the energy, and now I only want the best. And if I don't get the best, I don't want anything. And this is like, I want a guarantee. So what this is saying is that I want a guarantee. So you have, like I said, a mixed bag of energy. You have this idea that you have this fear, like, can I get out there and show people what I have to give? Then you also have this perspective of, yeah, you can, and it will be seen in the perspective of your talent. It won't be seen on anything else. And then you also have this perspective of the gate 57 saying, well, I only want 100% goals for every shot I take in life. So you have those kind of energies, and there's like this tug of war. But I think that because we have this energy of the gate 21, where the earth is grounding us, there is this idea that people will see you for who you are, and not for anything over and above that. It's like just this kind of having blinders on the appearance, or anything else that you might have anxiety about, and just purely being seen for your talent, or for what you have to offer. And I think that in itself is a reward. Whether you take the chance or not, it's up to you. As we move into the end of the week, like I said, we're getting into the 8th of October. We do have the sun move into the gate 57, and we also have the earth move into the gate 51, and we also have Mars moving into the gate 57. So we have, keep in mind that we have all these planets, Mars, Mercury, and also the sun, in the opposition to the earth that is in the gate 51. The gate 51 is the sudden unexpected things that can kind of come out of the blue. So we could be grounding into things that kind of come out of the blue, sudden changes. And this can also be competition. So when we have the intuition that's activated, this could be saying, giving us these internal hits that, okay, something's going to happen. There's a shift coming. So we might get intuitive hits. So when you think about it, you also have this intuition that's actually going to make you aware that potentially things are going to shift, or some unexpected changes can happen. This doesn't mean that it has to be bad. It just means that it is something that can come out of the blue that you don't expect. And it's just something to keep in mind. And there is, like I said, there's competitiveness. And so you could even say competitive intuition. Maybe you might see some spiritual groups that are kind of saying, well, I'm better than you, and kind of spiritual competitiveness, this kind of thing about who is more woke than the other person, and who's more spiritually advanced. And if your intuition is improving, it's better than it used to be, and that is a gift in itself. The gate 57 is part of the integration circuit, so this gives the awareness for the integration circuit. We will have pretty much all of the integration circuit activated by the nodes and also Mars. The only thing we won't have activated is gate 10, which is the behavior. So we have the 57, which is giving us this intuitive awareness of where we're meant to be busy, where we're meant to focus, where we're meant to kind of put our energy so that we're going to kind of get ahead in life. And you could say be safe, you could say, because this is individual energy. This is about the preservation of you as an individual. And basically we're all sort of doing our own thing and kind of trying to mutate the world, you could say, in our own way. And that's kind of the energy. It's a very busy energy, and it can be very just the 2034 on its own is this idea of being really busy but not really knowing why you're being busy. So when the gate 57 comes in, this can help with that ability to give you this awareness in this concept of what exactly you're doing, where it's going, and what it actually means for you. So it's just that added awareness that is very beneficial, especially if you have other parts of the integration circuit. You could be impacted a little bit more by this. The gate 57 does have a fear, and the fear is of the future. The future is potentially there's going to be issues in the future, or there's something to be fearful of, something bad will happen, or those types of things. And the thing about the gate 57, the fear, and how we sort of look at that and combat it is like Byron Katie, she does the work. She's written quite a few books. Now, if you've ever read any of her work, she has a really great way of kind of expressing this concept of being in the now, being in this moment, and sort of looking at your world around you as opposed to looking in the future or looking in the past. What is happening in this very moment? And that's the exact same thing that we're talking about with the gate 57. What do you need to worry about in this particular moment? What is scary? What is potentially going to impact you right in this moment? And that's what this penetrating intuitive awareness is talking about. There's no point in looking at tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. I mean, that may sound a bit fatalistic, but the reality is that we are not guaranteed every day. We are only guaranteed this moment that we have right now. So fear of tomorrow, and most times this fear that we have is overblown and something that is not real. It's just something that our mind is kind of expanded into something that's almost so incredible that you believe it. But yet, if you stood back and realized what you're actually thinking, it's probably not even close to the truth, because it's like those things that you have a real big fear about something that you have to do. For me, I had once upon a time, I had a red light ticket, and I knew that it was something that wasn't correct. And I went to the court, and I was terrified. I wanted to not go at all. But I felt like I needed to, because if I didn't, it was going to be on my record, and I just didn't feel it was a correct charge. So I went, and I was just, frightened. I mean, I was really scared about, having to sit up there and be in court and all those kind of things. But I felt like I needed to do it, and I did. And as soon as I did it, and the ticket was canceled, and I actually, you could say I won. I felt immediately relieved, but the fear and anxiety I had about actually going and sitting up there. But then once I was sitting there, it was like, it was done. I was in that moment, and there was nothing to be scared about, but I had really perceived it to be a very scary event, and that everything was going to work against me. And it was going to be so many things that were fearful. So there was potential for that to be the case this week. And what we can do is we can stand back and go, is this true? Is it something that is, I'm sort of blowing up? And even if it's something that maybe there is potential fear related to it, or you kind of can't shake it, see what shows up, see what actually happens, what comes in your reality, and then you can judge it from there. And everything that you learn, you can use it as one more stepping stone to increasing your intuitive awareness, to knowing what is correct and what is just something that you blew up in your mind that wasn't actually true after all. So we do have a lot of the energy of these planets activating this gate 57. So it'll be a nice time to really kind of tap into that energy. And especially, like I said, if you have the integration circuits, you can really kind of potentially feel a lot of impact to give you some more direction and awareness about yourself, and how things, just basically about you in general, and where things are moving in your life and those types of things. The other thing that's happening at the end of the week is Venus is also moving, and we will lose the 214, that full channel, and Venus will move into the gate 34. We might see some feminine energy having power moves, you could say, or things that are sort of like showing some level of power in the world. We also could see relationships, and in relationships, maybe it's about taking back your power. And it's, building on that same theme of the gate 21 and Chiron being in the gate 21, this taking back the power so that you feel that you're empowered as much as anybody else in any relationship. Because sometimes, like I said, we give our power away, and sometimes we don't even notice it. Do we actually kind of click in and go, oh, well, maybe that I don't need to give my power away. Maybe I can be powerful in who I am and be okay with that. And so those might be the types of themes that we're going to see with the gate 34. So we do have an opportunity to find some peace within ourselves and to actually conquer those things that may have held us back in the past, so we can actually advance in our future. And with that said, I know it was a lot this week, but a lot of moving parts with the new moon and so forth. And I hope you have a super week. And I will be back again next week with the transits. And if you haven't already joined the Mandala of Life, I would love to have you aboard. We only have about 19 gates left to go before we actually finish the whole project, or finish the year that we have been traveling through. And it's been exciting. And I'm so blessed and thrilled to have so many people along for the ride. And thank you for being here, and have a super week. And I will see you soon. Bye for now.